Welcome back to Bad Work Friends. I am H Dog, and I have Farmer, the other one, and technologically impaired. Today we're gonna talk about living in the city versus living in the country. You look bored. You can't be bored when I'm talking.
I just,
All right.
I always look like this when you're talking, Haley.
Okay. All right. Where do you guys prefer to live?
In
country.
the country.
In the country.
We're all the same.
All right, that
Me
was a
too.
good podcast.
All right, that's a good episode.
Even shorter than Rogers.
Do you think there's benefits of living in the country?
Yeah, that's why we
Yes.
all
Benefits?
live.
Yes.
What kind of benefits?
I have a family member that moved out of the city because they were sick of the crime and hearing sirens all the time, so they moved on to their grandparents' acreage.
You can pee in your lawn and nobody's going to complain about it.
Right.
That's true. So noise pollution and light pollution are two big things. Just the privacy is a pretty big thing. There's cons to living in the country. There's usually more work with an acreage, more yard work, more upkeep, stuff like that.
Getting snowed in.
Getting snowed in. If you need to run to the grocery store, it's usually farther if you live in the country. I mean, there are downsides to it.
I know growing up in the country, the closest town was like 30 minutes away. See, I love growing up in the country, but like all my friends lived in town. So when they hung out, I couldn't just go and hang out with them because I didn't live in town.
Yeah, I couldn't do a lot of activities because, I lived 15 minutes away, so.
When I was really young, I lived in town and nobody wanted to be my friend. And then I moved out into the country and then all of a sudden I started having more friends. So, you know what?
So sad.
I disagree.
It's usually the opposite.
Right?
Weird.
I think it had more to do with the fact
Did you
that I
grow up
was
in the
different.
country, Michael?
So until I was 10, I lived in town, and then I lived in the country ever since, basically.
Very nice. Sarah, did you grow up in town or country?
No, I was on a farm my whole life.
Nice.
Roger?
Haley, you were farm, you said?
Yeah.
Oh wait,
I
no,
grew up
Roger
on a
never
dairy
grew
farm.
up.
I was raised on a dairy farm.
Ah, that's better.
Do you ever want to do dairy again?
I've thought about it in the past. I don't have near enough land or money to start an operation. And I don't know if I would want to because it is a 7-day week,
24/7.
365 days. Yeah, you don't get vacations, you don't get time off. It's you either work or you have to pay somebody else to do your job.
Yeah, but then you can make cheese the whole way through, start to finish.
That is true. And we do have a small hobby farm going on. We've got goats, sheep, pigs, chickens. We've had other animals too.
Dogs.
We've
cats.
talked about getting a couple dairy cows and doing like raw unpasteurized milk, selling it to people, making homemade cheeses and whatnot. But it's only been talked so far. We haven't taken that step yet.
You should. That sounds fun.
It does, but there once again, that's an everyday commitment. If we
It's not like you have a life. You'll be fine.
You've got
we
kids,
have
nothing
my
to
daughter's
do.
dance, and that gets us The dance that gets us away for a weekend, and then we got to find somebody to do the chores while we're gone.
You got 3 friends right here.
If you say so, Haley.
Oh yeah, we're not friends.
There you go. We're bad friends.
That's for sure.
Bad work friends. Aha.
Ah,
So did you have questions or anything?
Do you think that kids do better in the country growing up? Learn more? Work harder?
Yeah, they get a work ethic. I've always been complimented whenever I've been in jobs that they're
I
like,
feel
"Oh,
like it
you're a farm kid."
depends more on the parent than where they live. Because I've known some lazy people who live in the country. And I've known
I
some.
think I agree with Sarah on this one. It's not always the rule, but I think a majority of the time that a kid growing up on the farm learns more responsibility at a younger age than somebody living in town. That's not always the case. I think just more often than not it is.
Fair enough. I defer to
Because I
both
mean,
of your wisdom.
I agree with you too, Mike. I've known some pretty lazy farm people, and I've known some really good working city people. Like there's good and bad both sides, but I think majority of the time you hear that quite often where it's kid grew up on a farm, so you know they're going to be a good worker type of thing.
See, I try to get my kid to go down to the farm as much as I can, but she never wants to go and help them out.
See, that's
Kick
the
her.
trick. It doesn't matter if she wants to. You just tell her she's going to.
Oh, she can be so stubborn though.
Smack them. All right, I'm going to start arguing for town. So if you live in town, you're closer to grocery stores, you're closer to the hospital if something happens. You're less gas to get places, so you're not polluting the planet.
You can
Cheaper.
walk to school.
You
You
have
can walk to work.
friendly neighbors. You can walk
That is
places.
nice, sending your kid to school. You don't have to worry about driving them.
I'm just going to start making
But
Natalie
then
walk
they
from
can
my
get
place.
abducted by like a sex
It's only
offender
5 miles.
Okay,
if
but
they walk to
the
school.
odds of that
Well,
happening.
don't say that because my
very
kid
low.
walks to school.
The odds of it happening are very low. It's basically doesn't happen in the United States. I mean, you hear stories, but it basically doesn't happen.
The next time I take a day off, I'm going to go kidnap Molly and take her out for ice cream.
She would probably love
You're
it.
gonna be at work and you're gonna get a call from the school saying that Molly never showed up. And
They'll
I'm
be
just gonna
calling
have
her
it for the whole
watch.
day. I'm gonna shut it
Yeah.
off.
And if you're gone from work, they won't let me leave because you can't have 2 operators gone.
Yeah, but you
Exactly.
take it every once in a
Your
while.
kid
so
goes missing,
that
but you gotta finish out your shift.
Right.
That's
Uh,
funny.
See, I moved to town and I don't hate it. I still wish I was in the country, but
Yeah, me and Michael are gonna live in
Well, there-
town for now, at least.
No, Michael's gonna buy my acreage.
It just depends on the town you're living in,
that's true.
because small towns feel like a country anyway. So,
Right.
but yeah, cities are a whole nother thing.
See, I like visiting big cities. And when I say big, I'm talking like Omaha or Minneapolis. That's about as big as I've been. And I went to Washington, D.C. once. But I mean, I like visiting big cities. But after the second or third day, it's like, there's too much commotion going on. I'm ready to be back home. Nice, quiet life. Like, that's what I enjoy.
Yeah, I went to Omaha one time and like the lane just automatically like switched to 4 lanes and I was so confused.
you've gone to Omaha one time. and
Well,
that's it?
I've drove in Omaha one time because I was
Just
going to my
once.
friend's basketball game. And then I pulled
Only
into this
one
like
you-
empty
You need to
parking
get out
lot.
more, Haley. You need to get out
I
more.
know. No, but I pulled into an empty parking lot to check my GPS, and then I backed up, and all of a sudden there was a car there. No idea where they came from.
Did you hit that car?
I did,
Did you
but
hit
just
it and
barely. No,
You hit it on.
So
Wait,
No.
two
you put your
cars in an
information
entire
there?
parking lot, and you hit it.
there was nobody there. And then just all of
Clearly
a
there
sudden they
was,
just
Haley.
showed up. No,
Clearly there was.
I put a little crack in it, and they're like, "Oh, it's okay. I was stupid one time too."
You're like, thanks. Now you know
Yeah.
my life.
Right?
The difference is they grew out of it.
Hey,
That took you a little longer than it should have, Haley.
that's not nice.
I'm not a nice person.
I will say though, in town, like my yard is really small. That is nice to mow. It takes like 5 minutes compared to like when I was on the farm. It took like hours.
See, but
And
that's
it
the
takes
nice
me
thing
like
about
2
living in the
hours.
country. If you don't want to mow it, you don't have to.
True.
But
And you
Yeah,
can mow
people
it
aren't.
however you want. So you can get your
You don't have the
suntan.
neighbors that are complaining about it or whatnot. When I first moved out, I moved into town. Bought a house in George, small little town. And me being, 18, not a care in the world, I did not upkeep my yard very well. And like, I can't tell you how many times the city sent me letters like, you got to mow more often. Or I had this one car I was turning into a derby car, so it didn't run. It looked fine, like it was still a full solid car. I just was taking the motor out. And since it didn't run, it was a nuisance. So I had to get rid of that too. I was like, that's what I hated about living in town. You got people breathing down your back the whole time. Country, I could do whatever the fuck I wanted. No one cares.
see, when I lived in George, like, I didn't mow my lawn for like 2 months, and I barely got a letter at the end.
I got a
So,
letter once too in the old house I lived in, but that's because I didn't mow like right on the edge, so that grew a little tall. They said I had to mow it or they were gonna come do it and I had to pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather have someone do it and pay for it than do it myself.
Right?
Yeah, but if it was
yeah,
the
but it
city
always
doing it,
costs
they
way
charge you
more.
200. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
That was another thing too. Like when I lived in George, there were two big trees in front of my house, but they were between the sidewalk and the road. The city said I couldn't take those down because that's anything between the sidewalk and the road was city property. But if the tree fell on my house, I'd be responsible for it.
Of course.
Yeah.
So did you
I
tell
thought
them
that
to
was the
mow
stupidest
that
fucking
area
thing.
too then?
Nope, I'm still responsible for the upkeep on it. I just can't take the trees down. That's the thing I hated about town is too many people watching your every move, judging you at every turn.
See, here in town too, if you like leave garbage bags outside of the trash that you charge for it, but you can go to the city and buy blue bags and it's cheaper than if you just have your own trash bags.
It just sounds like a way for the city to make money.
Right? Because I got charged because I left like 2 bags out. So I called them and asked them, and they told me I needed to take or go down there and buy the blue bags. Then it won't be as much.
They'll still charge you, just not quite as much. You get $1 off.
Right?
So stupid.
Right.
That was one thing I liked about the city was it was really nice when you're feeling lazy. Instead of making breakfast, you can just go to like the gas station and pick up some quick food. It was nice to be able to just do little things like that when you're not feeling like being responsible.
Oh yeah, I think that was probably one of my bigger things was didn't know what you wanted for supper. You run to the grocery store that's 2 blocks away or whatever and pick something up. Or when you're in the country and you don't know what to make, it's either a half hour drive there, get whatever and
Or
come
what's
back, or
covered.
you eat what you got. Yeah, which isn't a bad thing either, but
It is nice because my kid will be like, "Oh, I have a bake off tomorrow. We got to make these things."
I'd tell my kid too bad.
Hey, I made them and she won first prize, so I guess I did pretty good.
Do better, Haley.
Hey!
Were you supposed to make them, or was she supposed to make them?
I don't know. She helped me
Ah.
stir it. They were
Makes
so
sense.
sticky. I wasn't expecting her to get first place.
What'd you make?
I don't know. It was a recipe in her little kid's cookbook.
So how
You
come
don't know
you
what it
haven't
was, though.
brought any to work? Since they're
Because
so
they
good.
were so sticky.
Yeah, this award-winning. What'd you say? Brownies? What is it?
No, I don't
Cookie?
know what they were called. Some kind of bars.
What was in them? Oh,
M&M, little M&Ms. I don't remember what else we bought.
my daughter just had her. My daughter had her science fair project, and she did baking brownies in different types of pans.
That sounds fun.
See, I heard different
So she
types of
made like
pants,
8
like jeans and
pants. Yes.
sweatpants. So I'm like, that
Yes.
doesn't make sense.
Different types of pans, like cast iron or glass, or I think those like a silicone style thing that she used. I'm not sure, but and then just how the density of the brownie from one type to the next. It's pretty neat. She made like 8 batches of brownies.
Wow.
Your daughter seems pretty smart. What happened to you?
She got it from her mother.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know where she got her smarts from.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, it's your podcast, Haley. Your
Is it?
episode.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yes.
Do better.
Do you guys have anything else
Better.
to say?
I forgot what your topic was, to be honest.
Like
City,
town
country.
versus
Farm
country.
city.
Brownies.
Brownies. There's perks to living in either. It's all your preference. We're not judging over here.
That's not true. We judge a lot.
And I think the rural areas that we live in Iowa here is just country life is more appealing. Where if you get into like California stuff closer to the cities, it's like, you know, the mindset's different where it's everything's more convenient if you live in the city. So I think just living in the part of the country that we do, it's most people are gonna want or prefer country life.
I think part of it is a lot of people are used to country life, whereas if you come from like Chicago, New York, you wouldn't even know where to start. There'd be nothing going on.
That's true. I also think though with COVID and the pandemic and everything, the prices of food going up and all that, that more people are trying to not necessarily homestead, but trying to raise more of their own food. Garden, chickens, you know, the basic starter stuff. So I know last year or the year before, like I was trying to get some chicks at Baumgars, and anytime they'd get them in, they were sold out like instantly. People were just buying them left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, and I try to push for that as much as I can. If you have the ability or the room to raise some chickens for eggs or rabbits or have a garden, just anything I think helps. And it's a good thing for kids to do too, growing up, just know where their food came from and help raise it, grow it, whatever.
Chicken comes from the grocery store. That's where it comes from.
Yeah. You don't have to murder a poor chicken outside. They come from the grocery store. Jeez.
Or a poor rabbit. 'Cause you
I
butcher
tried
rabbits,
rabbit once. I was not a fan.
Yeah, you were supposed to do another one so I could try it.
Yeah, I never did. I'm pretty sure I just cooked it wrong. Or maybe I butchered it wrong. I'm not sure. I just went off of what I could find on YouTube's.
Makes sense. All right, you guys got anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
I